And we'll hit default 1. Birth date's now there. Hit create new. Birth date, if I do a view source, is type equals text. So it's not an HTML5 date, possibly because no browsers would Opera support it. But still, it's not HTML5 if I want to use all the stuff. So I'm going to go to Add Library Package and go here, and I think it's called the MVC HTML5. Is that what it's called? There we go. I know because it has an awesome logo. Click on that, hit Install. Watch on the right-hand side. This folder, Editor Templates, just showed up. This is an extremely clever way that this community guy made this happen. Editor templates override data types. So when you go in ASP.NET MVC and say, give me a date, it goes and gives you a text box. And here it's saying, well, here's what I want dates to look like. So he's gone and overridden dates and date times. So he makes a text box, but he makes it a type date time, which is pretty cool. It's a very clean way for him to have added HTML5 with here, and I didn't have to do anything. I wouldn't even actually have to recompile. So I'm going to go and refresh this. I see that the date time got really big, got really wide there. So I'm going to go into the CSS, look for input, put in date time. We'll make that a little smaller. Okay? But it still is not a date time because IE9 doesn't support date times, right? So you're like, oh my goodness, IE9, that just came out. They should feel really bad, right? Why don't they support date times? Well, Chrome and Firefox also do not support date time, but Opera does. So let's paste this in and see what Opera looks like. Wow, that's way better. No, it's cool. They support date time, so awesome, those guys. I didn't say anything. You can do it, Opera. Yes, good job. So what I would really like, now I have a situation where I've got this input box that's a date time, and I'd really like it to look right everywhere, and I'm sure Opera users are using Opera because they want that support. So I want to use the native date time support if you have it, and I want to use something else if you don't. So how would I want to do that? Well, I've got already on my machine, because I've got MVC, I've got jQuery UI. So maybe I want to use jQuery UI. Well, I could drag that in and make that a script, but then that means everyone would get jQuery UI, even people who maybe don't need it. So what I really want to do is write some code that would say, if you don't support date time, then use this JavaScript for a date time. Right? I want to basically say, you don't support this, so I'm going to force you to support it in an old-fashioned way. I'm going to modernize your browser. So we're going to go script, make a little script, and we'll do the OpenResig function. I'm using the JScript extensions that you can download from the extension manager to make my life ever so much easier. And here we'll say, if not modernizer, input types dot date. I'm probably going to miss some curly braces here, friends. If you don't support dates, then go and load jQuery UI 1.8.11.min.js, comma, sorry, I keep breathing and making my mic go off there. It's the one thing about JavaScript, you never know. It's like regular expressions. Right, and then you show it to your buddy, and he's like, "Ah, you guys." Seriously, how hard is that? That's why I hate JavaScript people. See, real programmers, they type data time because they don't do JavaScript work. There we go. Date time. Okay, now I wait. There we go. I was like, it has a green squiggly, so my grammar is wrong somewhere. I wasn't sure what to do. Okay, so that looks about right. So if you don't have dates, then go and get the script and then make it work. Here, hit refresh, click. Awesome. That demo totally worked the way I wanted it to. I think I actually have to bring in the base, probably core. Just do all? Really? That's such a Microsoft thing to do. Just bring in the 1.5 megs of CSS. It'll be fine. Dude, I was trying to bring in like the minimized kind of, no, no, man, all. Cool. So now that'll work, actually. And interestingly enough, what I just did, that would also work on IE6. Because jQuery UI supports IE6. IE6 doesn't care if you say input to type equal date. It'll go, I don't know what that is. Display it as a text box. So right there, I'm using HTML5, but it's working nice on down-level browsers, which is kind of cool. Looking at my time here. All right, so that's wonderful. Let's do some more code stuff. Let's do code first. So we've been seeing a lot of basic code first examples like blog and blog post and one-to-many. So I wanted to do something a little bit more complicated. Here is blog and blog posts. So we've got public class blog. It's always awesome when people try to open a drink really slow. Like instead of just going, they go. Nobody noticed that. Blog has a collection of posts. Now, post is more interesting. We've got a lot of attributes on that. These are all things that you can do to influence how your entity model, your in-memory class model, is going to affect your database. So here we've got like titles required. We saw that in the keynote. But I can also say things like max length 200 and influence it going from an nvarchar max to an nvarchar 200. I can even hard code database column types if I really know more than the default, if I know that I want things done a certain way. Notice on line 54 there, we're going to actually store a photo in the database. But if you're a database person, you're like, well, that doesn't really feel right because I'm going to have like all these columns, and then one's going to be a bunch of bytes. That's going to mess up the layout of my database. There'll be fragmentation, things like that. From a programmer perspective, it makes sense that a post might have a photo, but from a database person's perspective, they'd like that to work a little differently. So I'll show you how we can fix that. And then notice that posts have tags, a collection of tags, and then tags have, let's go down a little bit, posts. So you actually have a many-to-many relationship there. And it'll actually create the intermediate table to handle that. Now, if I want to influence this post and make it look a little different, my blog context, that's the thing that holds those objects. So when I'm saying like db.posts, I'm talking to a db context. That's new in EF 4.1. There's an override called onModelCreating. And in onModelCreating, I can go and map things using a Fluent API and give hints on how I want things to look. There's a lot of flexibility in it. So onModelCreating passes in this model builder, and then you influence that model builder. And then however that model builder is left, EF will use that to go and create the database a certain way. So for example, on line 29, we're saying, I don't want pluralized stuff, right? When you say person, I want the table called person. I don't want it to be called people. So we're actually removing a convention. You can make your own conventions, right? There's these, I'm removing it from that collection. Then lines 32 through 42, that's all one line, right? That's using that Fluent API. We're saying, I have to read it like it's English, right? So it's like, hey, take the entity post, map all of these properties to a table called post, and then map this property to a table called post photo. Now, again, Entity Framework supports model first. That means you drag around stuff in an Entity Framework model in a graphical way. It supports database first, because if you know SQL, you just know how to do this yourself, and you just make the SQL. Or it supports code first. It all depends on what makes you happy. All three are going to be supported, and you should use the one that makes you the happiest. You can do code first type layouts, even if you made the database first, as long as they line up. Totally up to you. There's a lot of flexibility. I like this just because that line 32, it really resonates with me. It just makes a lot of sense that I want to map these properties here with a lambda, and I want to map that one to post photo. It helps me visualize the database a little bit better. Now, in the global ASAX, databases that don't exist need to be initialized. So here we're saying set initializer. We're saying when I need a blog context, here's the initializer that's going to do it. All that can happen by default, but in this case I've overridden it because I want more control. One of the things I've overridden is seed, so I can actually seed the database, because some databases, if you drop it and bring it back, you're going to want to put in maybe some enums or some lookup tables or whatever, or some test data, depending on how you want to do your application. So here in the seed, this is our first chance opportunity to load up our database with test data. Okay, makes sense? So let's go and see if we can run some scaffolding on this and see what the database looks like. Okay, so we're going to use, let's see if the command line's got it. Yes, scaffold, controller, post, db context, blog, context. So this is going to give me my controller and my views for posts and for blog. And while that's happening, I want to go over here and I'm going to right-click on my project. And I'm going to say Open and Explore. I'm going to go up one level and show you this packages folder. That's where all the NuGet packages are. You can see that the repository that it comes from is there, and then MvcScaffolding is here. It's all out in the open. This is what I like about the new Microsoft, because before it was like drag a data grid, and then a miracle happens, and you have an application. But now everything can be looked at and opened up. Like even this new package file, this new package, I can double-click on that, and that's actually just a zip file. I can use the NuGet Package Explorer. I can poke around in it, see all sorts of cool stuff. So here, underneath tools, are some interesting things. While that was scaffolding, how was it happening? Well, like for example, the views, not there, here, are actually just T4 templates. There's ASPX versions of this, Razor versions of this, VB, and C#. So everybody gets to play. These are the views that were being used while that generation was occurring. So let's just pick one of those up and look at it. All right, so here we've got like, does this page have a layout? Does it have a master page? If it does, output this. You can update these, make your own MVC scaffolding, and then run it internally at your enterprise. And we're actually going to do a talk called NuGet for the Enterprise at TechEd, if anybody's going to be there. Talk about how to set up your own internal NuGet server and make your own standards and your own things. Because we're always showing generating these really basic CRUD things, but maybe you guys have all standardized on YUI, and you have a whole layout, and da-da-da-da-da. Don't think about scaffolding as a way for Microsoft people to do demos. It really is a way for you to jumpstart what you're doing. And if you don't go and customize scaffolding, if you don't go and make the templates the way you want, if you don't go and modify how it behaves, then you are missing out, and you have kind of drank the Kool-Aid, and you do think it's just making demos that we do fun. From the Package Manager console, I'm going to just type in get scaffolder. And what this is showing are all of the scaffolders that are on the system right now, and these are all MVC scaffolders. And if I say, like for example, get scaffolder view. So when I say scaffold view, it's going to use a Razor view. That's where you can get in. You can make these. You're using Spark or you're using some other engine, knock yourself out. I could go here and I could say install package. I think it's called link to SQL scaffolding. Run get scaffolder again. Now link to SQL scaffolding is in there. So each of those verbs is totally flexible. So you can scaffold test methods, actions in Unity.